Inside Mercer Basketball with Coach Bob Hoffman and your host, Rick Cameron. Brought to you by Wild Wing Cafe.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome once again to our weekly edition of Inside Mercer Basketball with head coach Bob Hoffman. Of course, everyone is aware this has been a very difficult week for the Mercer basketball program with the loss of one of our players, coach, and we certainly want to talk more about the loss of Jabri and what he meant to our program. Let's save that to later in the segment, but let's talk about weekends this past games. Let's talk first, Coach. We continue to be very much encouraged by our fans that continue to show up one game after another. 43,000 fans, and Saturday we broke the all-time record.
Yeah, we had 4,700 against Citadel at home. It was a fantastic crowd. It was amazing energy in the building. A lot of former players back. It was fun to see how our guys responded, and they played at a high level. It was just a tremendous game. We probably had more dunks in that game, maybe combined, than we've had all year. So Andrew Fischler was the star of the show, 20 and 10, and our guys continue to find him in multiple different ways against the press.
You knew, Coach, other people would have to step up, and everybody did. You altered your starting lineup, obviously, to adjust, and Ethan Stair, Jordan Strawberry certainly responded with their first starting assignments.
Yeah, I think, well, those guys could have been starters all along. They've done multiple things along the way to help us be successful, and Ethan is a tremendous player. He has great upside. He hasn't reached his potential yet, working really hard on his game. And Jordan has come out of his shell. Last year he had a great year for freshman, but I thought seems like this year he's just more in control and has more savvy about him. And I think he can still get better too. Yeah. I think he's still trying to figure out when and where to take shots because he is a good shooter and he needs to score for us. But he passed the ball great, had 8 assists on Saturday against Citadel. It was just a tremendous performance by him also.
Another guy, Coach, who has tremendous athletic ability and really stepped it up was Dimitri Rivers. He had a couple of big threes and a power dunk, really energized everybody in the house.
Yeah, he ended up being in the top 10 on ESPN. It was fun to watch for him. Hopefully that type of play can build some more confidence in him. He's kind of gone in lulls, and then he go for really big games, and he's just such an amazing young man, and you want him to be successful, but sometimes that demeanor keeps him from probably being as good as he can be. He just won't believe he's that good, I think, sometimes. Yeah. But those plays like that, when you can keep seeing them in your mind over and over again, when you lay down at night, I think that will continue to help him as the season progresses.
And you just know playing Duger Balcom and the Citadel, right. You know the threes are coming, but you had a great game plan. It seemed like Stephon was your safety valve in breaking that pressure and moving into the front court.
Yeah, we kept him in the middle because he'd already done it multiple times in lots of games. We've been pressed, seems a lot this year, but he's been really good, and he was even better than he had been in other games. Found some pull-up 15-footers in the press, made some good decisions 2-on-1, and made some passes himself. There were the right decisions, and I think for our team, when people press us, it gets us going downhill. It really helps us. I wish everybody would press us to some level.
And then Monday night, Chattanooga comes in. You mentioned Andrew Fischler a moment ago with a double-double, but Justin Toyo, well, you think he has a chance to be in the running for Player of the Year, but certainly
among the best, Stephen Kroon,
best post players. But boy, Fischler with 8 blocks nearly broke the Hawkins Arena record for blocks in one game.
Yeah, I had 8, and might have had a few more, and definitely had other deflections, and made some people think a little bit as they ran into the lane. They figured out he was a little longer than they guessed, and his timing against Justin Toyo was really special. In fact, probably was a jump ball on a couple other occasions that didn't get called. So he's growing. He's another one a little bit like Dimitri. He needs to see some success, to believe in himself. And it's a credit to him, really, and to the assistant coaches that have continued to work with him when he hadn't had a whole lot of minutes this year. That's not easy to do, and he stepped into the moment and seized his opportunity. We're thankful for that. We're going to need him down the stretch.
Having said that, Coach, that leads us into our Sonic Player of the Week. Pretty obvious.
Well, Andrew Fischler. I mean, he was 20 and 10. His first double-double here. I think he'll probably have a few more. And I think in that game he might have had 5 or 6 blocks. So back-to-back games, I think he's had 14 blocks. That's a pretty big average, 7 blocks a
Wow,
game.
absolutely.
That might put you in the running for national block. So you don't know what the next year holds, but we don't even know what the rest of this year holds, because I think there's still some fun moments for this team as we go into the playoffs.
And then, Coach, our Marco's delivery of the week.
Yeah, George Strawberry had 2 games with 8 assists. He continues to play at a high level. Didn't shoot it as well against Chattanooga, but part of those shots he was taking was in duress and late clock, where he had to just get a shot off. So it's hard to look at that part of his game and say, well, he was taking bad shots, because really he had to take some of them for us to even have a chance to get a shot off. So the great thing for him, he's continued to mature and develop as a really great point guard, and we're thankful for that. And he had 2 tremendous games with those 8 assists in both outings.
That leads us into our interview. We're going to go to campus. We're actually on campus this morning, but we're going to interview Jordan Strawberry and find out more about him when we come back with more Inside Mercer Basketball.
As a business owner, you need to choose the financial direction that's best for you to find a clear path to growth and success. At BB&T, we support businesses of all sizes with personal service and advice, sharing the sound financial knowledge we've gained over more than 140 years so you can move ahead with confidence. Talk to us today about your business goals. BB&T, sharing knowledge for a brighter direction.
I have purchased 5 Jeeps here at 5 Star, and my sister-in-law from Florida actually came up and purchased a Jeep here. The way you're treated, the satisfaction, the service, just overall good experience. And you know, for me to come back that many times speaks for itself.
We're back at Hawkins Arena. We continue getting to know our Mercer basketball players. Jordan Strawberry visiting with us, sophomore guard from Santa Ana, California. If you would, Jordan, I think a lot of folks know one family member and that you have, but tell us about your immediate family and the folks that mean a lot to you that our fans can get to know.
Okay, you know, as everybody knows, my dad's Daryl Strawberry. You know, he's inspired me a lot throughout my life. You know, wanted to be a professional athlete, and he's inspired me to be great. And then there's my mom. She's been there for me. She's always been there for me. Even when I went off to California and lived with my aunt and uncle, she was always there for me, coming out there to see me. So I think my mom has really been a key factor in my life. And then I have my sisters and my brothers, who are definitely very important to me. You know, I have an older brother who plays professional, so he's really inspired me to be great as well. And then I have my sisters who are athletes. Like, everybody in my family is athletes. So that's one thing that keeps me going, is like that we all push each other to be great. We all want to be the best we can possibly be. So that's always something good.
When we go on the road and folks will walk up to me and say, hey, they'll have 2 questions about Jordan Strawberry. First, they say, is he indeed the son of Daryl Strawberry? But second, they say, how did he end up at Mercer University? That's my question to you.
Well, I got a call from Coach Nelp last year. I mean, but the year before that, he was the one who recruited me. And he told me about Mercer and stuff, and then I came and visited, and then I just felt at home here, and it was like the best thing possible for me. And I was like, I really enjoyed Coach Hoffman, so it was the best place for me.
Tell us about your personality, Jordan. If you were going to self-analyze, this is who I am, what sort of personality are you?
I think I'm very laid back. You know, I'm just like very laid back, just like to listen to everybody. You know, I'll get out there every now and then, and people will see like another side of me every now and then, but I think I'm very laid back. I think I'm a very laid back person, you know, just listening to my teammates, having fun with them.
From the day you got to Mercer until today, how much have you changed as a person and even a basketball player?
I think a lot. I think definitely as a person, I think I've grown into a more mature person. And then I think on the basketball court, I became more mature and more vocal and more wanting to work hard as hard as I can. So I think I definitely changed a lot.
What did you work on most from last season to this season? I know, as the radio announcer, I know you're so much more productive with some assists and rebounds, but what did you work on most of all in preparation for this year?
I think being a leader was one of the most things I worked on, you know, being a leader on the court. I think last year as a freshman I kind of shied away from being that because, you know, I was young and didn't want to speak up. But I think this year as a sophomore I've spoken up a little bit more, and I'm trying to keep doing that and help my teammates out. And I think that's probably the biggest thing I worked on. And also just being in the gym, shooting shots, you know, every day. I think that this summer I was really in the gym hard, so I think that was the biggest thing for me.
You've got a lot of games left to go this year and in your career, but up until this point, what's been the highlight of your Mercer career?
I might have to say the Georgia game last year as a freshman. You know, I was a freshman, so that was a fun.
Three in the corner.
Yeah, that was probably the funnest moment of my life. Like that, right there, that was amazing. So I think that definitely was. That game was really like a really fun game for me. You know, especially me being a freshman and like kind of had been like not trying to find my role at that point, and then that game came along and it just felt really good.
The first game at Chattanooga this year was not bad either.
That was not a bad game either, yeah.
Tell us about this basketball team. Give us a feel. We've had a very good non-conference games. We're headed into conference play now. Give us a feel of where you think this team is and how good they can become.
I think this team is right on track to be where we are. I think we're going to where we want to be. I think we had a great non-conference, and I think those big games, like when we played on the road at Arkansas, at Auburn, Davidson, and then even like a home game like George Mason, those games like really prepared us. And then even in Nashville, those games really prepared us for this conference play. So I think we're right on track where we want to be, and I think we could be really good. I think we could go far in the NCAA tournament if we keep going on the way we are.
Tell us what it's like playing for Bob Hoffman.
It's fun. Like, it's very fun. Like, you know, he's like, and it's very tough. It's very hard too. It's fun, but it's hard. It's hard because like he's so detailed and he really wants every little thing like a certain way. So like, if you're not able to do that, it's gonna be very hard for you. But it's also fun because he's a fun guy. You know, he's always loving towards you, and you know, those are the things like you want in a coach. Yeah.
All right, tell us what you're majoring in, and looking down the road, Jordan, what's ahead for you besides basketball?
I'm a criminal justice major. I'm not exactly sure what I would want to do with that. I just really enjoy like studying about the law and stuff like that. Like I actually changed from a business to criminal justice because criminal justice was just something that I felt very comfortable with and that I really like to do. So I'm not exactly sure what I would want to do with it, but I really enjoy learning about the law and stuff like that.
There you go. All right, that's Jordan Strawberry visiting with us today. We're going to come back with more on Inside Mercer Basketball.
Football, fun and games, bring food, it's a Wild Wing thing.
So here's the game plan. Rush into the Wild Wing Cafe and tackle one of our new steakhouse burgers. 100% Angus, 100% great. It's an all-star lineup that can win you tickets to the biggest games of the year. Where?
At the Wild Wing, the Wild Wing, the Wild Wing.
Droid DNA augmentation initiated. Neural speeds increasing to 4G LTE. Brain upgrading to a quad-core processor. Precognitive intelligence with Google Now complete.
Introducing Droid DNA by HTC. It's not an upgrade to your phone, it's an upgrade to yourself.
Well, as always, we enjoy getting to know our players even better. Jordan Strawberry this week, our guest. Let's take a look now, Coach, at the Macon Occupational Medicine look at the Southern Conference as we head into a vital road trip coming up for the Bears. Chattanooga now at 11-1. ETSU 8-3, Furman at 9-4, Mercer 8-4, as is Wofford. Those are our surrounding, just above and just beyond us, our opponents this week. But anything observation-wise as we head down the stretch the last 3 weeks, Coach, about how the conference is unfolding?
Well, really the most important thing, if you don't win the league, is where you finish and kind of what your seed is. And, you know, the 7 through 10 has to play that extra game.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that you would like to not be in, although last year Furman won all those games, got the championship game, and was one possession away from going to the NCAA tournament coming out of that playing game. But Historically, that usually doesn't bode well for you to get through there because it's really hard to win 4 games in 5 days, especially the competition we have in our league and the toughness of our league. I really think that, though, that being said, 7 through 10, whoever that may be, there's still going to be some good teams with good players that could get on a roll again. I like our league. I think our league's really good, and we mentioned this on the radio show the other night. It really doesn't make any sense to me that Chattanooga hadn't got any votes on the AP or the coaches poll. They beat Dayton at Dayton, and they're a top 25 team, and Chattanooga has a better record than them. So they're not getting probably the credit they deserve. They beat Illinois and Georgia on the road on top of that. So our league is getting, we're right now I think is 18 as a conference out of 32 conferences, which is way up from where we were a year ago. But Chattanooga probably should get a little more reward, even though we should have beat them here on our campus. We had an opportunity to get that done the last game out.
All right, Coach, we're getting ready to take to the road 2 teams we've already faced this year. Let's break them down one at a time. Let's talk about going into Wofford on Thursday night of this week.
Well, Collins and Garcia are as good backcourt tandem as there is in the league, and then we're going to play another great tandem the next game. But Collins is the go-to guy, make big shots. But when we played him the first time, Garcia I think hit 5 threes.
Yeah. He
was really finding the open spots. He plays with tremendous court awareness, understands where everybody's going to be, and he just has that knack of making plays that makes his team better, whether it's taking a charge or getting to the free throw line, whatever it might be, he can do that. And then Spencer Collins, he can get those shots, he can just jump up and shoot it off those down screens. They have plenty of other players, but those guys are the ones that night in, night out have put them in the position they're in right now.
You know, we talk about the Citadel and the number of threes they put up, but in recent games, Wofford has a high efficiency of making threes.
Right. They shoot it really well. I think what has happened, people continue to try to zone them some because the man, they run really good stuff, and it's hard to zone those guys when you have that many shooters you can put out on the floor.
And then Saturday we'll conclude this road trip at Furman. You've already mentioned Stephen Kroon. I like to compare him for Mercer fans as a James Florence, can do just about anything on the floor.
Yeah, he is really athletic. He moves in space like most people can't. He just seems to get places you don't believe he's going to. And then Sibley and Fowler are really good and have had great minutes, but all their big guys are athletic and good also. So it won't be anything easy, we understand that, but I think it'll be a really good test for our guys, a chance to get away, be together a little bit from and kind of seclude ourselves and think basketball for 4 days against 2 teams that are right there with us fighting for second place. If we could get those somehow on the road, I think we could put ourselves in a great position to finish, 2 or 3 in the league. And if Chattanooga stubbed their toe, then you never know. I mean, there's 6 games left. Seen crazier things happen in a league race going down the stretch.
Following the games this past weekend, Coach, with the altered starting lineup, in your mindset, you feel good about how you feel about your rotation coming up with the players that played well for you this past weekend?
Well, I think I'm probably still trying to figure that out, and it's hurt our bench scoring for sure. But at the same time, you got to give yourself an opportunity to get off to a good start. And beyond that, I believe Jordan and Ethan have played at a high enough level that they probably could have started even at some point even before this, and I've told them that. And so even though we've gone a little bit small, I think it's the right thing to do. And I think the energy from that squad and that team that's starting now, I think they're going to continue to get better.
All right, sounds good, Coach. All right, we've got one more segment this week, Inside Mercer Basketball. We'll be back with that in just a moment with more Inside Mercer Basketball.
For over 20 years, Mercer has relied on Forsyth Street Orthopedics.
Their team of physicians keeps players on the court.
Forsyth Street Orthopedics and Ortho Georgia have merged together into one practice, and we're stronger than ever with 26 physicians and 5 regional offices. As a graduate of Mercer and a partner of Ortho Georgia, we are proud to sponsor and take care of Mercer athletes.
Ortho Georgia, getting better together.
Go Bears!
Back with Inside Mercer Basketball. As we conclude our show today, Coach Hoffman does a great job building a team game in and game out. But in their time here, it's also a time to work with individuals as they become young men into adults. And it's all about real life and maturing in real life. And Coach, it's been a difficult week. I'll give this opportunity to you to kind of set the stage for what the week has been for you and your Mercer basketball team.
Well, it's been a hard week. I got a call on the way into my radio show from a sheriff that one of our players had been in an accident and it didn't look good. And then as I got more details, it was obviously more tragic than I even knew at that point. It got more difficult as we found out. We found out later that Jabri Bryant had been shot in an altercation, and you know, it was just heart-wrenching. It's even still tough to think about, talk about. But that week after that, as we went through that, telling the players, we ended up having the guys come over to the house and stay for a couple days, and the university and all Middle Georgia and really all over the country have been so supportive. We thank you for all your cards and letters and encouragement through this time. It's not something you want to see happen, obviously, and you don't ever expect to happen. It's just so difficult to put your arms around how to explain to other young men that one of their young teammates is not going to come back. And then beyond that, just trying to do something as stupid as playing basketball, you know, because the basketball doesn't really matter and life is more important. The one thing I would say, you know, that I'm grateful for is I knew Jabri really well, and we had a great relationship and had got to talk about his faith multiple times, and I know where he is, and I'm grateful for that, and that's a lot more important than anything else we've been able to accomplish here. Even though I want to win, I know Jabri wanted to win, we all want to win bad, but our relationship with the Lord and our faith is the most important thing, and I'm thankful that I know that about him. And I shared that with our guys multiple times, and shared at his funeral the same thing. And I just think it's he was a special young man that lit up the room, and his smile was fantastic, and it's going to be sorely missed. And you know, it's kind of ebb and flow thing. Sometimes in the middle of the day, maybe different times that you feel differently and think more about things specifically that you had conversations with him about. But he was very supportive even through the tragedy we'd had recently in our own family, and he was probably the most responsive to me and wanted to know more about all that, how he could help us, than any of the other players. And I had lots of players reach out. I've coached for a long time and been blessed to have a lot of great players and great young men and young ladies, and have played for me, and I've gotten multiple messages, but he was the most consistent about trying to figure that out. And so I hurt for their family, I hurt for our Mercer family, I hurt for our players, and I just love him with all my heart, and he's going to be missed. But it was a good day when we were able to take the whole team to the funeral, bust up there, a hard day, and now we're turning around trying to play basketball, which, you know, is, like I mentioned earlier, seems meaningless, but it is something to take your mind off and try to focus back in and remember what is the most important thing about life.
Thanks, Coach. We feel it only appropriate to end today with some highlights of the many great moments Jabri brought us on the basketball court, and the Mercer family asks for you, our fans, and basketball fans everywhere, to continue to remember the Bryant family in your prayers. We'll be seeing you again next week with more Inside Mercer Basketball.
Basketball and football are my two main sports. I didn't play in high school, but I really love basketball. I was always able to score. Before I got hurt, though, I was a little bit more of a slasher. And then when I came to college, kind of changed, you know, your role changed a little differently. And then I got hurt, so shooting became my focus. And I feel like I have a lot to feed the guys and give a lot of information to give them to help them get comfortable within the system. So it means a lot just helping the young guys grow, and watching them grow is amazing. It's been challenging, you know. I mean, in the aspect that I have to learn everybody's personality and then try to accept the personality and then coach them in a way where they can kind of understand the system and how we doing things. But I mean, it's been a fun process. You always envision that the school you're going to is going to win the tournament or go to the NCAA, really win it all. But I never, one thing I didn't really envision was the relationships and the things I was going to learn here. So I didn't envision that. I learned so much in these 6 years, not so much on the court, but off the court. Like a lot of life lessons that Hoffman teaches on the court that relates to or translate off the court. So it means a lot, man. Then the family bond that I had with all the guys since I've been here, like I still talk to every one of them, so it means a lot. I have a son that means the world to me. He's 2 years old. He just had a birthday December 23rd. My mom, grandma, and father always come to most of every home game, so I don't think my grandmother missed the game since high school, I want to say. So yeah, I mean, I got a supportive family, man, and they mean a lot to me.
Three-point for Brian. Brian for three. Brian.
I cherish my teammates always, just the bond that we created, the culture that's around here, the coaches, and it's just a fun culture to be around. Where if basketball was taken away from me today, I still want to be around.
Gets fed off, still finds a way.
They are going to try to go
Nice
underneath.
catch.
Jokes able to get it to go.